feel about homosexuality?
I find it disgusting. Men kissing men, holding hands in the street. Every fucking TV show now, they rub your nose in it.
All right, so the gay agenda. Yeah, so I see the term the gay agenda thrown around in typically one of two contexts. So one context is the political, legal, quote unquote gay agenda that I've noticed in politics for quite some time. And more recently, I guess I've been seeing it in the context of the gay, I guess, cultural and media agenda. And so I want to talk about that and I guess get my take on both of those different contexts. But before I get started on that, I just want to kind of give the backdrop on how what I've noticed over the years, right? So in my lifetime, I've seen a broader acceptance of gay people in society. I remember it was a time where when people were gay, most, I can't say most because I don't know this, but I'm guessing most people hid that shit because a lot of people knew that they could be alienated from their family, ostracized from their friends, could potentially lose jobs, get beat the fuck up. Just pretty much, it wasn't accepted. And a lot of people knew that and they were afraid to live their true identity. And so you had a lot of people in the closet, a lot of people who were gay bashing other people. And I just seen kind of over the years it's become more accepted to where people can, live their true identities. And I think that's a good thing. So that's just me, right? So as far as the legal and the political aspect of it, I've started paying attention to this issue in 2004 during the re-election of George Bush when he ran against John Kerry. At that time in this state, I think that was on the ballot for, I think, allowing gay marriage or maybe civil unions or something like this. But it was also a big conversation in national politics. And so initially I was anti-gay marriage without putting a lot of thought into it. I just think maybe my background, I grew up in a all black town, was raised in church. So I think it was kind of, it was just kind of like not the accepted thing. It wasn't the accepted thing. And so without putting much thought into it, it just wasn't the accepted thing. But what kind of swayed me over is I saw a debate here, I listened to a debate here between a person who was a proponent for civil unions or gay marriage, I can't remember which it was, and a person who was against it. And so I listened to these two guys debate on the radio, and one guy was saying that the guy who was against it was saying that it's morally wrong. It goes against the Bible. It goes against certain moral codes, etc. And I was like, yeah, he's right, And then so the guy who was a proponent for it, he laid out a more practical case. He laid out a scenario in which two people are together for an extended period of time. For whatever reason, one person's in the hospital. And let's say these two people have property together or interest together. And one person can't go into the hospital and make decisions on behalf of that partner that he spent 20 years with or that she spent 20 years with. And they can't make decisions on how to deal with any property or assets. And so immediately that argument won me over because on the one hand, you had a guy making, this conceptual argument against it. And then you had a guy making a more practical argument for it. And so I could understand conceptually what this guy was saying, but that doesn't really, your conceptual approach to something should not override someone else's practical experience, especially an experience like what he described. And so immediately it was like, okay, I don't need to hear any more debates on this shit. It's just that simple. And over the years, I've heard different debates on it, but it always boils back down to that. Conceptual arguments against it versus practical arguments for it. And I always side with practical over conceptual. So, I think, and then I think, just over the years, with different laws passed and making it to where gay people can get married, if not have a civil union, I think in most states in the country at this point in time, I think the vast majority of people get behind that and support that. Even though some people might feel a certain way about it morally and from a religious perspective, I think people believe that gay people should have the right to be with who they want to be with and get married and live their lives in peace. I think most people get behind that. When we talk about the legal and cultural aspect of the gay agenda, I think that's where it gets kind of murky, because I see a lot of shit about the gay agenda is to turn your kids gay and to feminize black men and all this shit like this. I think, to me, I think it's more simple than that. I think that the media industry is a business, and so they recognize there's a certain market for, gay content. And so just like anytime they recognize that there's a market, they start to produce that sort of content. So for me, I think the motivation behind that is just a dollar sign. Now you can, debate the morality of people doing things for a dollar, but I think the bottom line is the intention is a dollar sign. They see a certain market. And so from a media perspective, they want to capitalize on that. The people who have platforms that put gay people in the forefront, I think they recognize as a market, and they want to serve that market. So for example, myself, I'm into polyamory. So I'm starting to notice more shows that kind of promote, or I shouldn't even say promote, display polyamory. And I'm guessing because they recognize there's a market for that, right? And so I'm guessing as that market grows, the amount of content that is reflective of that demand is going to grow as well. Will that mean that there's an agenda to turn the country polyamorous? I don't think so. I think it's a recognition that there's a certain market, and they're going to put dollars behind that to capitalize on that market. That's no different than, rap music. I think, I'm not quite sure. I've heard this argument that there's some plan to use rap music to destroy the black community. I can see result. I can see what the results of how some things are, that it can be looked at as a plan. But I think even then it was like, okay, here's a market. Let's put dollars behind it so we can capitalize on it. So I think when it comes to anything in the media, particularly gay people, like I just mentioned, we know gay people kind of played in the shadows of our society. So now that it's been kind of legally accepted, and with, different platforms is becoming more culturally accepted, like why wouldn't gay people want to be in roles on TV shows? Why wouldn't gay people want to see gay superheroes represented? You know what I mean? Like, to me, it's just like, okay, like if you accept gay people for being themselves and wanting to live their lives, like why wouldn't you expect to see them represented in pop culture, in movies, and being on TV, and not hiding the fact that they're gay, kissing in public? Like, I mean, who gives a fuck, right? I don't, right? So for me, I just think that from what I see is, I think people misinterpret, and this is again my opinion, I think people misinterpret the idea of people trying to serve a market with them trying to push an ideology to turn your kids gay. To me, that's just fucking silly. But that's just me. I'm going to finish this up with Lil Nas X. And so I know that Lil Nas X is a character, an individual who is constantly associated with the gay agenda, right? And so to me, I look at this guy as one guy who's an entertainer, who clout chases, who tries to create certain controversies, who is like a shock jock. Like, one of my favorite people is Howard Stern. He knew how to get the controversy, to get the attention on him, to promote whatever he was promoting. And so I think that a gay person using that tactic, so fucking what? I don't think that's reflective of a broader gay agenda to turn your kids gay. That's one individual that I think maybe some gay people might get behind him and look to him as a hero, and some are like, who the fuck is this guy? And some are indifferent. Like, I think, and this is kind of a tangent here, but as a black person, I don't like when people associate me with other people simply on the basis that we're black. I used to work with a guy, an older white man, and every time he would talk to me, it was always in the context of me reminding him of a black person that he knew, or telling me a story about a black person he used to work with. And it didn't take long to recognize a pattern, right? And so what I'm saying is I don't like to be associated with someone strictly on the attribute that I'm black, right? And so I think likewise, gay people wouldn't want to be associated with someone strictly on the attribute that they're gay, right? So we know that, again, Lil Nas X is very flamboyant, very, in your face. I don't know if it's fair to associate him and his behavior with the quote unquote gay agenda. And so, yeah, I just see shit out there like that. And so I just want to offer a different perspective. I'm not here to debate nobody. You can think what the fuck you want to think. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's cool with me. But I just want to offer that perspective. I think the gay agenda is, again, legal rights, political rights, being accepted in the culture, and wanting to promote and show and demonstrate their lifestyle. Not for any nefarious reasons, but again, from the media perspective to make a dollar. And then from the perspective of gay people is like, they want to be accepted as part of the society in their full ways. And I support that. I stand behind that.